Good evening, tarot people, tarot personages. I have been working on something new recently, and that is that I'm making a tarot deck. It's not the easiest thing I've ever done. And I have unique working methods when I do this. But anyway, it's worth doing because it gets you into you build the cards, you start making your own version of a card, and it gets you really thinking about maybe little pieces of these cards that you've ignored. But I have a thing about how I'm doing it where I'm interested in doing a deck sort of the way I prefer them, which I've never really quite ever found. And part of that is because, I get into the Tarot de Marseille, that deck. And speaking about one card, the Empress. And it's great, although, it's hard to tell what is what with any of these old decks. This one is a colored version, painted in, which I like. But there's an issue with tarot. And there are a lot of issues, actually. One of the things I have with tarot is that I like a crudeness of art. I don't like really polished, airbrushed looking things that are made to look really slick. I don't think it works with tarot. I think it actually is. There are a lot of problems there with tarot. It never feels right to me. So I always look for images that are more something off, a little odd. And these images in the Tarot de Marseille, they're pretty old, but they do have that kind of weird awkwardness about them at times. They get really strange and sometimes they don't even make much sense. But I like that. So when I'm making my own images, I try to keep things a little rough and mysterious. But so what I do is I work with a framework. I have lights on arms, and I shoot the artwork in RAW format. For cameras can shoot RAW format so that the picture is has a lot of detail. And then I take that photo and I do some things to it until I get it to where I like it. And then I put it into the proportions. I have a framework set up, a digital template that I've made for 2 different sizes of tarot cards that I might get printed. There's a larger size and then there's a smaller size. So I make sure that the images work set up for the actual card printing. So I've done 4 cards so far. 2 of them are number cards. Excuse me. And 2 of them are major cards. I've done the Fool and the Empress. I'm not going in order. So I'm using the Empress here as an example. Tarot de Marseille Empress. Which I've never been particularly interested in the Empress card visually. So that's why I decided to tackle it as one of the early images in what I'm doing. And I think that was a good choice because I decided, you know what, usually the Empress is very dead on. She's sort of facing out. There's not a lot of like, people have different things with the Empress, but usually it's a pretty sort of straightforward image of an Empress. But I mean, I'm not going to get into going, showing, but I can certainly. So my Empress is so you've got this sort of dead on, and then there's my Empress, which I can't figure out how to hold it. Oh, I don't know why there we go. That's my Empress. Anyway. So it's started. The process has begun. And it's fun. And I noticed when I was working on mine that I tended to focus on the effort to make the Empress somewhat hidden, elusive. So that's what I am doing. The Fool card is another one I worked on before doing the Empress. And I took a very sort of it's almost like a Pinocchio quality to it. I'm using sticks a lot in my tarot. There's sticks being featured in it. And anyway, it's just worth sort of mentioning that that's what I'm after. And the point is to get the deck made and really use it here and stream and read for people and wherever, and just carry it around and actually use that deck, because I'm going to try to make it my preferred deck. And I feel like that's what I should do. If I want to read tarot, I should be able to have my preferred, right now I guess it's the Tarot de Marseille, but I have these problems with the tarot, and they, these classic decks, especially the Rider-Waite, they're not, they're like, harking back to a time when Anglo-Saxon, people, very, very, very white people, ran around and occupied castles. And something strikes me as suspect in people that are fascinated with that. Just if you're in tarot and you're talking about the Rider-Waite deck, which was in fact drawn by a woman of color, but she was apparently working with a group of these, these, you can imagine who these people, the Golden Dawn people, were, with their ideas about people in castles, and their decision making probably swayed the day. And consequently, you have a deck that so many people are absolutely fascinated by and consider it the tarot. And if you look at that deck, what they're telling you is this tarot better damn well be white, or it's not tarot. And that happens over and over again, and it really pisses me off. I think there are a lot of assholes running around doing tarot. And if you push them, if you prod them a little bit, you will get what they're into. And it has to do with the nice little white princes and princesses running around in castles. That's where they're at. So, that occurred to me. And then I started thinking back about arguments I got into an argument with someone a couple of weeks ago on Facebook about tarot, and it really rang a bell in my head because I realized a few days later that the vitriol coming out of someone in support of the Rider-Waite deck had a lot more baggage in it than was obvious. And what it suggests to me is, if you are out there rejecting all the new decks, a lot of which are very inclusive, very cool, very full of different people and all kinds of different types of people are making decks for everything, every possible perspective. If you're cutting all that out and saying tarot is this deck made in the early 1900s by these group of clowns who decided on some meanings and, got someone to color in all her pictures just the way they wanted her to, well, I get what your message is, and I don't like it. And I think that people need to start calling bullshit on tarot. We're looking at a lot of images that have been historically there for tarot. One after another. Bang, bang, bang. Straight down the line. They all are one thing. The message is very, very clear, and it's blatant, and it's obnoxious, and it's flat out evil. It has nothing to do with tarot being evil. It has to do with the racism of the people doing tarot and making it through history all the way up to and including the goddamn Golden Dawn clowns with the Rider-Waite Smith. Smith was the illustrator. And whatever. Look. Frankly, I can't look at the Rider-Waite. I can't do a reading with the Rider-Waite deck. I just vomit all over the table. It just looks like shit. It looks like... It does have crudeness. But those stiff people wearing tights... come on. The Rider-Waite deck is the perfect deck for you to be into in tarot if you don't want to see anything but some goofball white dude in tights running around some medieval castle. Now at least the Tarot de Marseille, the thing is, you can assign meanings to tarot cards. That's great. But there are also meanings in how the images are built. And, you have to have some awareness of what's going on there. I mean, if you look at the same set of images over and over again and it never occurs to you, wait, why do they all, I don't know. At some point, I can see why people ignore that and overlook it. But when you get into it with someone and you get into a historical discussion with someone and you realize there are many people out there who have very set views on what is and what isn't tarot. And when they start defending a certain thing and you look at it and it's obvious on the face of it that they are pointing at a deck that is not inclusive. You know, if you walk by a Confederate flag and point at it to your friends and go, "That's really cool. I love that. That has a lot of meaning. That's a cool looking image. Wow, I want one of those." Somebody's going to walk along and call you a supporter of the Confederacy, a supporter of slavery, and they won't be wrong. So if you're supporting something that is blatantly not inclusive in tarot, then somebody's going to call you something, and they're not going to be wrong. Anyway, so that's not to say that if I make a tarot deck, I'm going to be super good at making it perfect. No. But I'm going to take some shots at it and just try and make it not targeted to specifically one kind of person. It's going to be targeted to meaning and to suggestion, not to the vibes I get. Definitely coming off in waves from the Rider-Waite. And I don't care who drew it. The decisions were made at the time, and that's what you end up with. So I think it should be actually looked upon with a great deal of skepticism if somebody starts waving around a Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. I really do. I think that, you can look at it every now and then, I guess, but I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that deck. It's just doesn't ring right in 2021. It's just so. So anyway, I'm going to pop out a little reading over here on the tarot deck. I've had my little say. What prompted me to start making my own tarot deck? Some irritation, some sort of, I don't know, dissatisfaction with the way. I mean, I look at tarot cards. I see someone, and I see some. They're drawing an old medieval castle window. Why would you do that? I don't know. I don't understand what people are thinking. A medieval castle window with birds, and stained glass. Who said the tarot stopped evolving in 1603? So, it's 2021, folks. It's not 1600. It's not 1500. It's not 1200 AD. It's 2021. There are airplanes flying around. There are people walking around who aren't wearing tights in a castle. Now, all this being said, I'll probably draw someone wearing tights in a castle from one of my cards. Probably, yeah. I bet I will. I just won't be able to help myself. So anyway, I'm going to do a quick reading for the evening, and I'm going to get serious now, okay? All right. Okay. So, that card is going to be the first one, since it was so anxious to pop itself out of the deck. All right, let's see what we have here. Three card reading. How nice. Okay. Here's something to think about for the next couple of days. We've got one of those queens sitting around in an old castle that we were just talking about. The Queen of Cups. And in the middle, the Six of Swords. So we've got heart, mind, body. The coins, the pentacles here. We've got the page. What's it telling us about the next couple of days? It's kind of saying things like, you know, take it easy. Let your feelings just sort of be there. Be comfortable with them. Take some time. See how you really feel. What's really going on? What's your heart really telling you? You know, take it slow. Let the feelings sort of happen. Don't worry about them. You've got it. You've got it under control. You know yourself pretty well. Let the feelings happen, you know, and keep a little bit of reserve. It's saying the Queen of Cups has a little reserve there. She's got it a little sort of sealed up. She's kind of got it a little contained. She's not exactly wearing her heart on her sleeve. You notice her goblet is closed. So she's got sort of a control. She's got like a gentle mastery of her feelings, her emotional life. She's not letting it run away with her. So, and here with the six, sword, the mind, the kind of effort, conflicts that arise. But here the six, we're getting into like a more harmonious time. We're enjoying things. We're having fun thinking about things. We're coming up with great ideas, and it's pretty easy. So, like, take it easy. Don't worry too much don't let your feelings run away with you. Enjoy the process, thinking things through. Share your ideas. That's the six, the harmony, the pleasure, the attraction. Let your ideas, share them, and let them mingle with other people's ideas. Everything's good. You have safety there. Here, in the physical, money and body, keep it moving. Keep dancing. Keep it alive. Keep yourself young. Keep yourself sort of, perk it up. Get up. Go out. Head to the gym. That's what this guy's doing. And look, there he is in his tights. The same tights I was just talking about. Actually, I think tights are really cool. I don't know why I'm so critical of people in tights, but whatever. I'm just critical of crappy looking tarot cards. I'm sorry. That's what I'm critical of. But anyway. So don't worry about your feelings. They'll take care of themselves. You don't have to go like running around screaming about your feelings. Just take it easy. Share your thoughts with others. Conversation, nice, easy conversation. And get up and stay active and go have fun. Go dancing or something if you're allowed to, if you're vaccinated and have a mask and stuff. Go do something that's enjoyable for yourself. Get physical. That's just, when I do a reading like that, that's just sort of just something to think about, sort of to get the next few days sort of rolling, and this is a pretty calm, sort of a nice, easygoing sort of suggestion here. It ends on an enthusiastic note, trying new things with this guy, the page. But here, the main lesson here with the feelings is don't make a big spectacle, a big drama. This queen, look at her. She's got it all sealed up. She knows what's going on, but she's not spilling her cup of her emotions all over the palace floor there for everybody to see. So she's keeping it a little under her cape there, you know? She's just letting it, she's sitting with her feelings, basically, is what she's doing. And the 6, you know, it bears more discussion. The 6 is that equilibrium number where you're enjoying what you're doing. You're enjoying sharing and you're attracted to other people's ideas and you're communicating with these people easily. You're able to function smoothly in the realm of the intellect, and you're not in conflict with anyone. This is a sort of a nice, enjoyable number. And then kick it with some enthusiasm and go ride a bike. Boom. There you go. Oh, maybe you're right, Through Fire. The camera might be... Yeah, you know, I'm trying to... Well, I can't do anything about it right now, but I kind of agree with you about my camera. The main... You're talking about the... You're talking about this camera. Yeah, so maybe I should be... I don't know, I can't... I have this thing... I have a background here that I try to... where's the... I try to line it up. And I had to set the camera a certain way. You know what it is? It's when I lean. It's when I do this. Okay, well, yeah, you're right. I should pull the... Maybe I can just sit back a little bit. Anyway, I'm going to try to fix that because I think you're right. So I will improve. Okay, so Through Fire, I think I should do a reading for you. Ask me a question. I'll do a reading for you. Ask me a camera question, maybe. Let's see if we can get a first question going here. Turn up my music a little bit. It's funny, with music, I like to make these, what I call sort of mindfulness music. There's tons of software out there that you can use to make music so that you can play music on your stream and stuff without getting in any trouble, because there's, you know what I mean? If you make it, then it's yours to broadcast, which I think is great. But there's all this cool software to make it pretty easy to do that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I have another deck. Well, I may stick with this deck. But there's a deck that I bought recently called the Crow Tarot. And it's got these black crows, like, on every card. And I thought it was an interesting approach. I've seen this deck around, but they decided not to use humans at all in the tarot. And that's part of what got me thinking about tarot cards in general. But they're really cool, the way they do it with the birds. It uses, however, the Rider-Waite-Smith meanings, which are, you could apply them as if you wanted to the Tarot de Marseille, but I don't. I stick with meanings derived for the number cards from a more sort of generally numerological sort of thing. All right, let me head over there again. All right. I'm going to do a reading for myself having to do with the making of a tarot deck. Just sort of something to keep in mind as I proceed into making my 5th card in the series. Creative endeavor. Well, gee. We've got materials, physical, thought process, feeling. There's been some difficulty getting materials to work together. Yes, but that's slowly improving. So this difficulty of bringing things together to move into the action of producing a tarot deck, these awkward bringing together of different ingredients, this is improving. The thought process, the analytical part, the ideas behind the creating of tarot cards. And here is a 7, and the 7 is the sort of, one has learned a lot about oneself and has started applying that kind of new knowledge and awareness to what one is doing. And the effort is supposed to be somewhat beneficial, a beneficial action in the world. And, taking that action and focusing on what you know of keeping your mind on what it is I've learned. It's not easy, and it is difficult. That's why it's reversed. All these are reversed. It's difficulty in every aspect, except for the creative. The wands are missing here. And yes, the 10, bringing a card to completion. This is something I've been doing over the last couple days, dealing with one card for 2 or 3 days running, and trying to bring it to the point where I can say it's finished, and can't. It keeps starting over and doing it again and again and again. And this 10, this is the completion number reversed. There's difficulty getting there. I can't quite finish, although I did finish, but that's not what this card is saying. This card is about the process in general. It's pointing out the difficulties of finishing. And finishing an entire deck of 78 cards, of course it's difficult, and there are worries about that. Can I get through it? Can I keep the focus? Is that something I can do in spite of a busy schedule? So yes, this is very applicable to me, and it makes me worry. It's an emotional thing. You want to show yourself that you can do it. You want to end up with a deck of cards that you can slap down on a table and say, I made this. So yeah, there was a worry about that. I get very sort of fed up and disgruntled if I go through things and keep making a mistake time after time. I have to, on one card over and over and over again. So the materials, hardship, that's improving very rapidly. I'm getting more comfortable with the physical aspects of the work. The thinking has to keep, this means keep the effort going. Break through the barriers in your thinking. Open up the mind. Open it up. New awareness. Let it flow. Don't restrict the ideas when you're working on an image. Don't stick with something I'm used to. That's what I'm getting from this card. And here, yes, you've got to break through the negative feelings that arise when you have difficulty getting through to the end of a project. Yes. Okay, that's good. The reversals don't worry me. They're just saying the obvious. This is hard work, and you have to push and get through it. But you know what? Sometimes you pick a hard project for yourself because it's what you want to do. And these difficulties are par for the course. So, let's see what the I Ching has to offer. The I Ching. So, 3 coins will be put at the ready. And the I Ching chart will be put to use. Now, I need a pen. And I need my Post-it. Okay. Let's see what the I Ching brings us. And again, this is the story here is about the tarot. We're asking the I Ching about the project, the building of the tarot deck, a tarot deck of one's own. All right, we have 4, a 7. That means the bottom line is a yang line. another 7, another yang line. We have another 7, another yang line. Another 7, another yang line. And we have a 9, which is a moving yang line. And for our top line, we have another 9, moving. Now, what we see from this is that the bottom trigram is Sun. The top trigram we have, okay, so what we've got is a 1. The first judgment, basically. The first hexagram in the I Ching is the one we have. Now, these are moving lines, so there's a little bit of a difference there. Let's go and see. We have sun over sun, or heaven over heaven, basically. Now, in the I Ching book, obviously a translation, I will look up the first hexagram. Number 1. This is so interesting to me because this number 1 hexagram, which is 6 solid lines, the 2 at the top are going to transition into yin lines, but that comes next. This is what the I Ching, as translated by Wu Wei, says about hexagram number 1, creating. This is the kua of creating yourself as an individual, or of creating some idea that you have conceived. Receiving this kua is indeed a blessing, for this is the kua of heaven, in which all the lines are strong, good, and virtuous, and it guarantees sublime success from the primal depths of the universe, provided that you act in accordance with its provisions. It is rare to receive this kua as an answer, but when you do, you are faced with an opportunity of the greatest magnitude. When your success is guaranteed from the primal depths of the universe, it means that even the spiritual world will come to your aid and that blessings will be heaped upon you. Confucius, the great Chinese sage and I Ching scholar, said that when heaven blesses us, it helps us, and to be helped by heaven is to be helped indeed. However, to achieve the success you seek, you must act with the utmost integrity and honor. This means putting yourself in accord with the 6 lines of this kua, all of which are pure, light-giving, powerful, and just. If you do not, the enormous potential promised by this kua will not be achieved. Examine yourself closely to see if you have any bad habits or bad intentions that could potentially hurt yourself or your plan. If you find areas in your character that can be improved, start the corrective work immediately. That is the key to unlocking your full potential and the full potential of your plan or of what you are conceiving. Because this kua unfolds over time, it also requires perseverance and endurance. Perseverance in a course of action that is right, good, and just, and endurance to see things through to the end. If you act with complete integrity and honor, you will bring into existence the full power of this kua and experience sublime success. You will fulfill this kua's great promise. You will mount to the skies of success as though on the wings of 6 dragons. Well, I don't think I could have hoped for a better reading out of the good old I Ching as I embark on this tarot deck creation. Now, I'm also going to point out something really interesting that I love. And that is that this reading fits the reading I just did with the tarot. Now that reading with the tarot reinforces what the I Ching has just told us about perseverance and endurance and doing things the right way for the right reasons with good intentions. It's talking about effort. And the tarot had just told us a few minutes before this effort, the physical effort, the bringing the materials together, getting, the things to work properly together. It's been difficulty, but it's working. It's starting to work. That's that difficulty. And then here, the mental, the ability to keep the mind focused and use what I've gained from tarot and apply it to my building of a tarot deck. That's what this is talking about. And this requires endurance and perseverance again, and keeping the mind focused, just like the I Ching told us. And the emotions, the feeling, the heart. Is your heart going to, can you deal with the feelings of frustration as you persevere and get through to finish, to get to the big number 10, the finish, where you can go, oh, I want to experience now the happiness of having done what I set out to do, and I can look at it and go, I'm happy with this, I want to print this. Well, this I Ching reading that I just did is so right there in the ballpark with it. Now, the 2 moving lines at the top, those are the yin lines. So in other words, the top trigram of 3 solid lines is about to turn into the trigram representing the thunderstorm. So let's see what happens when there's a 9 in the 5th line and the 6th line. So line 5, what it says is, congratulations. You have arrived at the pinnacle of success. Be content with what you have achieved. If you try to expand your success further at this time, you will only attract failure. All things, when they reach their maximum potential, inevitably turn toward the opposite. Success turns to failure and fullness to emptiness. Therefore, do not seek to increase your success. Instead, share it with others. Ordinary people seldom think about sharing their good fortune, but if you do so, you will experience long-lasting prosperity. Also, it is essential that you continue to examine yourself or your creation so you are sure that you are acting in accord with all that is highest and best within you. Okay? Top line. You have carried your success too far and have caused it to begin transforming into decline. You will regret your arrogance. Do what you can to make amends and to retreat to your former position of success. Consider this setback a learning experience that will prepare you for future times of success that will come to you. Continue improving yourself in as many ways as you can. Everything that happens benefits you. Remain cheerful and be thankful for the good things you still possess. So there's a warning. Both those, they're warning. Don't push too far. Bring yourself through the project, bring it to a successful conclusion, but don't get arrogant if everything works out. If you're pleased with what you've done, don't start getting full of yourself. Otherwise, you'll have setback. It's very interesting. So, clearly, that's what the I Ching does, is it gives you a status, success. It says if you proceed down this path, you are guaranteed success. But watch out, because success is great, but the next thing that comes after success, if you don't know how to handle it, is failure and decline. It always warns you about those shifting tides that come in and out through life, That's why it's called I Ching, the Book of Changes. Things change, they go in cycles. Well, the tarot does too. The tarot talks about cycles also. Now, let me get another I Ching. Okay, so if I get my other older I Ching, what I'm interested in are those moving lines. Okay, here we go. So, and this one also, the older I Ching says sublime, the creative works, sublime success, furthering through perseverance. Creative work, persevering in it brings sublime success. What more can a person embarking on a creative project really want to hear? So again, 9 in the 5th place. Yeah, so it fits. This is an older translation. So what it says, 9 in the 5th place, this is the changing line, means flying dragon in the heavens. It furthers one to see the great man. The great man has attained the sphere of the heavenly beings. In other words, there's been great success. His influence spreads and becomes visible throughout the whole world. Everyone who sees him may count himself blessed. The effort has reached a pinnacle. The success is extraordinary. Confucius says about that moving line, things that accord in tone vibrate together. Things that have affinity in their inmost nature seek one another. Water flows to what is wet, fire turns to what is dry. Clouds follow the dragon. Wind follows the tiger. Thus the sage arises, and all creatures follow him with their eyes. What is born of heaven feels related to what is above. What is born of earth feels related to what is below. Each follows its kind. Now, let's to the top line. The warning. Arrogant dragon will have cause to repent. Just like I read in the newer translation, the same meaning. When a man seeks to climb so high that he loses touch with the rest of mankind, he becomes isolated, and this necessarily leads to failure. This line warns against titanic aspirations that exceed one's power. A precipitous fall would follow. Okay. So I have been warned. I have been told. Work. Your creative work leads to brilliant success. You will get through this if you persevere and if you keep yourself focused and have the right intentions. And you don't get full of yourself, because if you get full of yourself and you start seeing that things are working out, if a few people start buying your deck maybe, or people start praising it, and you let yourself get all full of yourself, you're just going to come crashing down and look like a big fool. So enjoy it and don't push. There you go. I Ching along with tarot to get multiple perspectives on this central issue which I presented, which is the building of a tarot deck from the ground up. I'm going to mark down that this is 1. Now, I have even another I Ching. Let's see how this other translation puts it. It says the decision is initiating, sublime, initiative, prosperous and smooth, favorable and beneficial, steadfast and upright. Vast indeed is the greatness of initiating. It is the source of all beings and regulates all creations under heaven. Clouds flow and rain falls, all beings complete their forms. Greatly luminous from beginning to end, each of the 6 stages completes itself in its own time, as mounting on 6 dragons soaring in the sky. The way of initiating is change and transformation, so that each being obtains its true nature and destiny, and the union of great harmony is preserved. This is what is favorable and upright. The initiating is high above all beings, and thus all countries are united in peace. Yeah, initiating, in other words, creating, starting, making something. That's what we're dealing with here. I like this I like the optimism overall, combined with the acknowledgement of the struggles, the different things, the effort required to get through and keep one's efforts focused. And it's more than just keeping it focused, but you have to keep your effort honest. In other words, you have to want to do each tarot card not just to make a card, not just to make an image on a card that you can say is a tarot card, but there has to be something deeper in that image. It has to radiate a meaning that the maker felt or had in mind. And sometimes that meaning doesn't have to be entirely conscious. So you don't have to necessarily be fully aware. You don't have to be in the realm of swords all the time. You don't have to be fully aware. You can find accidental meanings. Or, in other words, there are things that happen when you're making art, putting things together, that sometimes are fortuitous accidents, and they clarify something that you knew all along you meant, or that you didn't even realize you meant, or that you didn't even a meaning or a way of pointing out a meaning that may have been subtle and you weren't entirely aware of about a certain tarot card before, until you started working on it and something happened accidentally, and you looked at something and you were like, oh wait, this is a whole new way of, this is a whole new angle on this card. Like I found when working on the Empress card, that part of the paper for her head tore, and it tore a little divot into the side of her head, and I was like, oh shoot. And then I was like, wait, no, that works better. I like that. That enhances something that I'm feeling about this card. And the Empress, frankly, has always been a card that I haven't really gotten along very well with. I've never really had any very strong sort of feeling about that card in any deck. So I decided, I'll try that card as one of the first ones, because it'll be interesting to see what happens if I tackle a card that I've never been particularly interested in. And I got interested. As I worked, things started to happen, and I was like, oh, I've really given this card short shrift. And I think now I'm going to read this card differently than I have. I'm gonna relax a little bit about this card, not feel like when I pull it that, oh, I don't know enough. This card doesn't relate well to me. I don't know really quite what to say. I think maybe I'll have something more to say about it. So those little fortuitous things that happen when you're working on something, as you're solving problems that are indicated here, material problems, thought problems, problems of meaning, you as you solve them, or even the problems when they arise, they even help all by themselves. They help clarify things, or sometimes they just help show mysteries. They actually just sort of present more questions, which is great, because that's really kind of what's best in the tarot cards are the questions they cause. You know, the answers aren't really, you know, as fascinating to me. So, anyway. I really like the I Ching in that way, though, because it can really sort of give you a... The I Ching strikes me sort of as something that's good for when you want to set out on a course of action. The I Ching applies to that kind of a question very well. I want to I'm considering setting out on a certain course of action. Is this advisable? What should I think about? Right. I'm going to do a quick closing reading for the evening. Just pull a card. Just a card for the evening. Closing thought. Huh. How nice. The Four of Cups. The heart, the feelings, love. Four is kind of the home. Thinking about home. Keep it right there at home with you. Safe and sound. That's another phrase for the four. Safe and sound, secure and happy, content. Think about what you have. Enjoy what you've got. Keep it close. Four is kind of a stable number, sort of. Stay here, you're protected. Think about what's here at home. Think about right now who you're with. That's the closing thought for the stream. Very nice. Who knows? I may start up the stream a little later. Again, it's possible. I don't see why not. Yes, Princess Peachy Peaches, I do I Ching. I just did an I Ching reading. Would you like an I Ching reading? You can ask something. Let me get the chart. Well, Princess Peachy Peaches, the I Ching lends itself to questions that are sort of about things that you have to deal with, plans you need to make, a course of action you might want to embark upon. Okay, so you can ask a question for anyone you want. It can be for your boyfriend, sure. But the I Ching is really good at sort of giving a feel for kind of what to think about as you embark on some kind of a plan or something you want to do. What should you think about if you get into this upcoming situation? That's what the I Ching is really good for. So give it a shot and go ahead and type up what you're thinking about, and I will roll the I Ching coins, and we can give you quite a thorough I Ching reading. Actually, I Ching is absolutely brilliant for figuring out what to be on the lookout for as you start something new. That's what it's absolutely stellar at doing. Okay. Oh, wow. What a great question. Do you see my boyfriend making it to UBC Law School for this year? Okay. So, in other words, it's not, the I Ching will not say, oh, yes, or no, or no, your boyfriend will be rejected, or yes, definitely he will be accepted. That's, the I Ching is sort of like what a person can keep in mind as they're trying to get there. Similar to tarot, yes, in a way, but it just has a different flavor than tarot, and it's a little bit more directly aimed at here's how to follow a course of action to have the most success. That's what the I Ching is doing. It wants you to succeed, and it gives you advice on how to succeed. So let's go over there and let's think about now, focus on the question that you asked about your boyfriend and his law school, okay? So these are big things in life. I know how that goes. So let's see what we get. Let me get my pen, because the I Ching likes you to have a pen, and it also wants you to have a little piece of note paper. So we'll put this for the reading. We'll draw the hexagram as we build it right here. So with the I Ching, what you do is you come up with 6 lines, yin and yang lines, by adding up values. So this side of the coin with the dragons on it is 3 points. And the side with the Chinese symbols on it is 2 points. And then you add them up. Okay, so boyfriend, will he be going to the law school? And so we're looking for advice on how to have the most success getting to there. Okay, so what we have here is 6 plus 2 is 8. That's a yin line, an open line at the bottom. Next line. We have to do this 6 times. Keep your mind focused on your question. And we have a 6, which is a yin line that's transitioning to a yang. That's why we put an X there. Third line. And we 6, 7, 8, another open yin line. Okay, we have 3 of our 6 lines. That's the bottom trigram we just made. Now we're going to make the top trigram. And we have 6 plus 2, another 8, another yin line. We have 2 more. And we have 6, 7, 8, again, another yin line. Highly receptive. Last and topmost line. We have, again, 6, 7, 8, an open yin line. That's our hexagram. Now, let's look at the chart. We have on top 3 open yin lines. That matches this. So we've got the earth, the receptive earth trigram at the top. On the bottom, we have 3 more open lines. This one will transition. I'll explain that later. But they are 3 more. That's earth on earth. So we coordinate this and we line it up There it is again. So they meet at 2. That is the second I Ching hexagram is what we are going to read for our advice. Now, follow along closely. This is where it gets interesting. The second hexagram. Okay. Its name is Kun. Open, receptive, yielding, willing to follow. Sublime success will come to you if you are willing to follow good advice, are open and receptive to new information, yield to others' ideas and wishes, follow wise leaders who have worthy goals, work hard, cooperate, and avoid taking on leadership. If you try to lead, you will go astray and will fail to achieve the sublime success promised in this Kua. Seek out like-minded people to help you, and, if you find them, join with them or have them join with you, but do not attempt to lead them. If you must carry on alone, do so, but seek guidance all the same. You will enjoy the sublime success promised by this Kua only if you adhere strictly to its attributes, which are receptive, yielding, submissive, and willing to follow. Avoid arrogance. The universe supports those who are modest and brings down those who are arrogant. If you are the leader, fulfill your duties of leadership, but not without following the advice of those who can offer you wise counsel. Seek information from every source. Ask for help and trust your advisors. This is a time when following rather than leading will benefit you most. The success promised by this Kua is sublime, meaning that it is not only success in terms of abundance, but also success that is endowed with greatness of spirit and therefore benefits the whole of the people. Now, this moving line here, in other words, this is a receptive open yin line that's about to flip and become a solid yang line. Now, when that happens, it turns itself from earth, okay, to water. See the solid line in between the two open. But let's see what influence this switcheroo has. Sometimes it has a little sort of a warning. Okay, so if you have this moving line in the line 2 position, it says you are in a key position to fulfill your own aims or the aims of your allies. To achieve sublime success, give up harboring any ulterior motives, remain true to your highest principles, and do all you can to fulfill your own goals and those of your associates. Seek advice. Always keep in mind the attributes of this Kua and remain open, receptive, yielding, and willing to follow. They are your guiding principles, and only by adhering to them will you accomplish your goal. So that moving line there is simply reinforcing the idea of maintaining a receptive attitude and seeking advice, working with people without being pushy and arrogant and trying to take the lead position. By taking sound advice from people who know more and who have experience and are trying to help, that will get you the sublime success that you are after. That's what this reading has said. So remember, Princess Peachy Peaches, that the reading, the result, was number 2 in the I Ching. And it had a moving line in the 2nd position. But that moving line is really simple because it basically just repeated and emphasized what the rest of the hexagram had already said to you. So this is always great advice, this Kua, because when you're trying to do something, especially like get into some sort of an organization, a school is an organization. I mean, there are, you have to fit in order to get into a school. And that means you have to follow advice. You have to present your best self. But what it's saying is, it's not saying don't present your best self. It's simply saying don't be arrogant. Don't present yourself in a way that's sort of falsely, don't puff yourself up, because it won't have good results. Just keep your steady pace going and take advice from people who know. And everybody knows who those people are in their life. You know who they are. You know who the people near you who have your best outcome in mind, and who have the intention to try and give you some wisdom. You know who they are. And you know who not to listen to. You know who the people are who are talking to you that you just say whatever, and you just say, hey, let's have a beer, and you don't really take their advice too seriously. Yes, work circumstances, absolutely. Any institution, any employment, this kind of advice from Kua number 2 in the I Ching, it really works because it's an I Ching. It's a reading that you can keep that little drawing. It's good with I Ching, I think, to keep a little drawing of the lines in your pocket, and then if you're going into an interview or something, you just pull it out and go, oh yeah, that was number 2 in the I Ching, and it said don't get arrogant, don't start bragging, and that's kind of really a good moment, especially before you're walking into an interview. So, or even, it doesn't even have to be an interview. It can be any meeting at work, I always find in work circumstances, I always have to remind myself when I'm doing something at a work sort of thing, like in a meeting with people, I always have to sort of remind myself, take a pause, and I say to myself, don't do or say anything out of ego. And that's basically the same advice that we just had from the I Ching. Don't do anything out of ego. Do it out of simply wanting to help or to learn, But you have to be very careful when you're in a meeting and somebody brings something up and you very quickly shift into a response mode that comes out of some sort of ego thing, like protecting some little thing you've got, some little defensive thing, and boom, and then you realize a few hours later, oh wait, I probably shouldn't have said it that way. I shouldn't have said, I caused more problems for myself now by saying that and being defensive or whatever it was. And you can be defensive, even you can act out of ego even without being all huffy. It can still happen because it makes you take a position or offer an idea that's not quite honest. That's often what ego does. Now, you're right. You do want to appear competent. Absolutely. But competence is almost never based on ego reactions. It's based on actuality, on actually delivering X, Y, and Z. and delivering them on time with a minimum of nonsense. If you answer something with ego, you get arrogant. In other words, that's the warning of the I Ching when it says don't try to take leadership. They kept saying that. Follow, take advice, don't try to take leadership. Well, that's often what egos, you say to yourself, I'm a leader. I'm a leader, and I don't know why I'm being questioned. I think I should step out, and I got to show that I'm not a pushover here. And that can be very risky in situations involving work and institutions and schools and things where you kind of have to be like, you know what? I don't know everything. What do I have to learn here? And you have to keep that receptive. That hexagram was all those open yin lines. The open yin lines are the earth. Earth is the symbol of receptivity. In other words, you are now open to receiving input, not to spewing things out. So there you go. Yes, depends on the position. That is, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you have to take these advice things, I Ching things, you have to sort of fit them to what your particular circumstance is. And they can be very helpful. It's astonishing, actually. Tarot also. The I Ching just seems, the I Ching is more literary. Tarot is visual. I Ching is literary, is words. It has the symbols, but it's just a code for looking up these sort of wonderful descriptive passages that kind of tell you. It's like talking to the wise shaman who can tell you, what you need to be doing. The tarot is more sort of visual and a little messier and more open to interpretations than the I Ching, which is much more specific. Yeah, I've heard about that. Farmers in China. That's really interesting. I mean, I guess it must work, right? Lunar Falco, hi, how are you? But yeah, you're right. It's funny, there's a TV show on one of the, I think Amazon Prime, it's a sci-fi show, and the Japanese won World War II or something, and they run part of the world or something, and one of the Japanese characters is like a really sort of honest, noble, old school, he's some kind of a government official, but he has I Ching. His character, constantly, he has the I Ching yarrow stalks on his desk, and he seeks advice now and then in the show from the I Ching, which I thought was really great. I'm good, Lunar Falco. What would you like to know about? Do you have a question? We were just doing an I Ching reading, and it was fascinating. That's why I have the I Ching trigram chart up on the tarot table right now. And just prior to that, I had done an I Ching reading combined with a 3-card tarot reading. And Princess Peachy Peaches, I hope that you and your boyfriend do have success in the whole law school endeavor. This is, I know what an effort it is to go through the whole process of becoming a lawyer and working at a firm and everything. And it's a really great, fascinating process, and it can lead to a totally brilliant career. Oh, this is the first time, Lunar Falco, you've heard of the I Ching. Is that or the tarot? Which, you're welcome, Peachy Peaches. The I Ching is the book of changes. It basically tracks, it gives advice on, it kind of tells you how to approach tasks and plans and things that you want to set out to do. So you roll, there are many methods, but you can see on the screen there, to the right of my chart, I have a little white post-it with lines drawn on it, and that's called a hexagram. And you roll the coins. There are 3 coins on the white paper there, and you roll them. You toss the coins to get values, and those values represent either lines that are broken or lines that are solid, and you build your stack of 6 lines from doing that, and then you look at the chart and you get the number of the I Ching reading. And you go and you read the reading from the I Ching, and it tells you, it gives you advice on how to approach whatever you're dealing with. I will definitely, Peaches, look into the 8 pillars. Absolutely. I just like the sound of that, actually. 8 Pillars of Destiny. It could be a movie title. Coming in November, the 8 Pillars of Destiny. Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, and Michelle Pfeiffer star in a legendary tale of destiny. Yes, Lunar Falco. It's really cool, actually. And I enjoy the combination of tarot and I Ching. I mean, usually I do tarot stuff. But it's nice sometimes when tarot images, the brain likes to switch up. It likes to, I find actually it's really good to switch between the image-based and the text-based things. Go back and forth. Keep the brain agile. I have to look up the 8 Pillars of Destiny right now. 8 Pillars of Destiny. Okay, so I'm getting Pillars of Destiny Feng Shui. Okay. Interesting. Pillars of Destiny. It's able to predict whether you are born with a fortunate life or a poor and hard life. Oh, man. Oh, no. Okay, date of birth, hour of birth to generate 8 characters using... Oh, that's scary. I don't want to know. Oh, my God. I don't want to know what the 8 pillars have in store for me. Oh, okay. Whew. Well, I guess I better find out fast if I'm going to be rich or poor. Okay, so you bought 2 tarot decks, Lunar Falco, and 1 oracle deck. Oh, well, okay. So you got the decks, but you've never read before. Okay, yeah. Well, that's kind of what you do. You're in a store and you're like, oh, this is cool, and you get a deck, and yeah. And there are good books out there too that give you like a good sort of a general guide. It depends on the decks you have. You know, you want to get a book that sort of guides you through and is sort of matched up to the kind of deck you have. And, you know, tarot, it's like, you know, there's a lot of, it usually does sort of require some initial explanation. And then people start building their own thing on that, and they become more and more intuitive with it. But you know, when you first start out with tarot, you're kind of like at sea with all these images. Like, what the hell is this? You know, I don't know what the Five of Wands is supposed to be saying. You know, you can look at the card and sort of state what your immediate impressions are, sure. But people who are asking for readings are usually wanting some kind of a structure of meaning that they can hang a hat on. And so that does require some kind of familiarity, at least, with what is generally said about these cards. And then you can find more specific meanings that you see in them. Tarot can hold an awful lot. It's a very sort of vague bag of tricks, the tarot. It's not limited, you know, and trying to pin tarot down to be only one thing is a foolhardy mission. Tarot, you have to be open and receptive. Yeah. So I started off this stream tonight talking about the fact that I have begun the process of making a tarot deck. And it's a wonderful process so far. I mean, it's fascinating. It's a big effort to get going and to figure out techniques and what one's very own unique approach is going to be. But once you start getting a little bit of a handle on that, it starts to become more and more fascinating as you start to express your own view of the tarot. And so it's something I think that anyone can do, because you can make a tarot deck as simple as you want to. You could just do it with a magic marker and some index cards. And it's probably a good exercise too, because I find that working really hard on cards opens up my brain a little bit about certain cards that I may have had a little bit of a limited understanding of. And so making them sort of get your brain functioning on a different level, more of the artist level, which allows other things to happen. And I really enjoy it. But, you know, I'm only doing that because I got through those stages of buying decks, not knowing what the hell they meant, and then getting some books and reading them through. I may have thought some of the books were hokey and you know, crappy. Sure, so what? Even reading the crappy ideas gets your own. You just disagreeing with them gets you going, gets you off on the right track. Yeah, we've gotten some good I Ching readings tonight. Interesting. We got the two I Ching readings in sequential order. We got hexagram 1, and then hexagram 2. Yeah, I mean, you get some tarot decks, and I'm talking about tarot. I really don't know anything about oracle cards. I know I totally understand the concept, but I've never used them, so I have no real practical knowledge of them. But tarot I do, and I know that tarot is, you have to keep that receptive, open mind going in tarot. The intuitive mind is the one that really starts to get exercised when you start playing with tarot. It's a powerful mechanism. This is why I do the stream. I'm both. I'm rational and irrational. I'm emotional and logical. I can be Spock at times when I'm working, and at other times I'm Captain Kirk, running around, full of angst. But the tarot has a very powerful effect. It's like an intravenous shot of magic moon juice or something like that. It gets you going on this weird, dreamlike internal level, and it can be disconcerting, and it can kind of make you a little queasy at times. Like, you'll notice, you'll look at a tarot deck a little bit, and then you'll get like, you almost feel a little dizzy, and you'll be like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to look at this tarot deck. And you put it down, and you almost totally reject it. You might throw it in a drawer, and it'll sit there for months. And then you come across it one day when you're doing something else, watching TV and looking for your keys. You're like, oh, that tarot deck, that's got a really cool look to it. Why did I put that away? And you pick it up and you look at it and you're like, look at these cool images. Wow. Oh, yeah, I remember what this one kind of means. And you just start getting a little into it again. And so it goes up and down and up and down. And that's because it's a very potent tool that sort of pries in under your conscious little brain and gets in at under things. And that gets a little disconcerting. Even if you don't know specifically why it's disconcerting, it's like your body tells you. This is something that tarot cannot be treated as just this thing you do entirely just for fun. It is fun, and I try to inject fun into it. That's why I have a colorful tarot table. I like colors. It's fun, at least to me. But it's not all that. It's also like a deadly serious mechanism for prying open parts of your mind, getting in under the soul and digging things up, like loosening things so they start coming out a little bit in your head. And it's so good at that. That's why people keep making tarot decks, thousands of them. They keep happening. They keep getting published. It's an entire world, and it's because people have this feeling that it does something they can't quite explain. And it has nothing to do with predicting events. It has to do with a profound effect on one's psyche. Like, if you go to therapy and you talk to a therapist, let's say, at some point in your life, and you inexplicably, on those days when you did that, you inexplicably had these really great times where you felt really like, ooh, just walking home or traveling home from this is somehow very interesting, and I want to have a really good dinner. Something developed in you, something about the process affected you, and you don't know how or why. Well, it's very similar with tarot. It can also have a slightly upsetting effect because it starts to make things jostle inside, and it loosens rigid defenses that you might have had. And this happens gradually over time, as most good, useful things do. So that's just a long-winded way of saying, just sort of, once you start looking at tarot, just kind of keep with it. Even if you drop it now and then, you'll come back to it. You'll pick it up and you'll remember possibly what I said about how it keeps coming back up. And so it's a long process, basically. Every stage of it is just as important as any other. Now, for me, I'm much newer to the I Ching than tarot. I mean, actually, it's a funny thing, because I read the entire I Ching many years ago, before picking up tarot. And I made that chart you're looking at on the screen. I drew that long before, many years ago, long before I picked up tarot. And I drew that very soon, very shortly before finishing reading the Book of Changes, the I Ching. And then I used it occasionally over the years after that, but never really up until very recently, where I decided that it's interesting to combine it with tarot and move back and forth between the two, or do readings that involve both. You get one point of view on the situation from the tarot, and then you get more clarification from the I Ching, and put them right out there on the same table. So enjoy your discovery of tarot. I think it's really great. And the oracle cards too. I should go and get an oracle deck just to see what it is, because so many people come in here, stop by, that have experience with oracle cards. You're very welcome, Lunar Falco. Have a great time with tarot. I'm actually getting ready to sign the stream off tonight, so this is just a good way to finish. Enjoy tarot discovery, and I will probably be streaming again tomorrow evening. So come back, anyone who wants to come back. I love having people ask questions, and I will bounce between tarot and I Ching freely, and do both, and whatever anyone would like to hear. All right, everybody, you have a great rest of the night, and have fun with the cards.